Hello! Happy Friday. Welcome to Beer to Goat Trail Running. I'm Jenny.
Hi, I'm Adam.
And today we're going to talk about running downhill, which is by far like my favorite thing in the whole wide world.
And used to be one of my not so favorite things in the whole wide world until Jenny kind of started showing me how we could really take advantage of making up time downhill as well as enjoying it, you know. So I'm not, caveat, I was never like scared of going downhill, but I definitely would limit myself and was like, man, she can go so much faster. How's she doing this?
But I mean, I didn't always run downhill fast. I mean, it's something that kind of comes with experience and comfort of the trail. And, you know, the more that you practice running downhill, the better you're going to get. So yeah. I started off slow at least. And then...
Oh, I think everybody does.
Yeah.
But I think very quickly you became much faster. And then I'll slightly reverse what I said, not being scared. There's definitely times. I am not a fearless downhill runner. That is not what I'm saying. Like just a few weeks ago we were running and it was raining out in the Catskills. And like at that point, I just don't feel safe, like on exposed rocks and just flying downhill.
Yeah,
so I'll
true.
push myself. You know, we'll take a few tumbles, but yeah, there's a certain point where it's to me, and I think this is actually maybe the first point that I'll make, is that you know, you got to push yourself. That's how you get better at going downhill. But there's a point too where you know if you don't feel safe and you're not, you know, you feel like you're putting yourself somewhere dangerous, then maybe you do need to pull back, and that's something you've got to figure out for yourself.
Yeah.
So.
But initially when I started really pursuing running downhill faster, it was because I read some article, and forgive me for totally forgetting who wrote this article.
Yeah, you can look it up later. We'll try to find it and post it.
Yeah, but a very seasoned trail runner said that, you know, in trail races, you can really start catching people or, you know, putting space between you and the person behind you by taking advantage of that downhill. And that kind of really stuck in my mind because I thought, you know, if I can really pull ahead going downhill, that's going to give me a big advantage. I've got short little legs, so going uphill for me is like, I'm not good. But downhill, man, I can just, boom.
I know lots of shorter people who will argue the uphill, but also not just for racing, you know, if you want to get down quicker, you know, just for whatever reasons, you know, if you want to improve it or you feel like you have to stop and walk whenever you come to really steep or technical downhill. So
I've also found, though, that my legs don't get as blown out going downhill faster because I'm not braking as much. So, you know, when you're going downhill and you're really putting, you know, effort into slowing yourself down, you're really hitting your quads hard. And I find that I kind of save them a little bit by going faster. That's not always the case, though. So it depends on this.
Yeah, you do take energy when you push yourself going downhill. So I don't. Why don't you give like what's your, you know, I don't know, 3-step process? Like give an example of like, okay, you got a half-mile downhill. It's got some rocks. You know, it's not a perfect path. You got turns. What's your game?
So I'm always thinking about 5-ish steps in front of me. So I'm already memorizing kind of, you know, short-term memory. You know, the 5-ish steps that I have next, and I'm looking for where I'm going to put my feet next, stable places and whatnot, and trying to really keep my legs, you know, my center of gravity balanced. I can swing my legs out, never cross over.
Yeah.
You know, but just kind of, you know, make your way downhill. I initially started with a zigzag pattern, and then I found out that, you know, zigzag isn't the best depending on what kind of hill it is, and so you just kind of look at the terrain, and launch yourself down. And, you know, if you can see where it kind of flattens out, you can probably pick up a little bit more speed, you know, and then kind of coast.
Yeah, definitely the looking ahead part is important, and then I think my only addition to that is like expanding on the kind of center of balance or center of gravity, just taking shorter steps because you start to go faster, and as you go faster, you're going to cover more ground, even though you're taking shorter steps. But really keeping that center of gravity with those short steps, so that you know inevitably you're going to make a misstep or you step on something loose, a branch, a loose rock. And you're able to easily recover because you can either have that other foot there immediately or just lift up off it, and you know you kind of do a falter or a half step instead of just wiping off.
I think that's a good point in any time you're running is always look a few steps ahead just because you might trip or, you know, roll your ankle or something. So having the flexibility to think like, okay, well I can do this to recover.
Yeah, definitely.
You can stop yourself from stumbling.
Well, and we've got an example. We did want to have an example with Jenny, but she's been pretty busy, so we didn't get a chance to get out. We did go for a short run together this week, but we didn't have time to get any video. So I found what I thought was a good example earlier, and so we're just going to switch over to that. And so I'll put the links to this full video in there if you want to see it. And I thought this was a pretty good example of some interesting downhill. Obviously, this is on some particular terrain. This is, some really loose stuff. Mostly safe except for the jumping, but I mean, I do that too. But right there, you can see the short, choppy steps, and then as he's coming in on the, again, short, choppy steps as he slides down back onto the trail.
And he's using his arms to, give himself balance, and he's keeping his knees fairly high, and that gives him a good amount of flexibility for, where he's going to put his step next, and, balance and using his arms. Even on the little jump there.
Yeah, I like it. And then opening up on the flats, right?
Mm-hmm.
With those little stretches, you can see then that's where he really opens up again and starts taking longer steps. So anyways, I just really like that and thought that was helpful as having an actual example. And I was watching this just like, yes, I need to remember to do that.
I got to do a slap of braid on him and you basically have me. So.
Yeah. Except Jenny might just go straight down the hill.
Trail schmail.
Well, you got anything else you want to add to running downhill? I'm trying to think. You got any stuff for like really technical bouldery type nasty stuff or wet stuff? Those are the other two.
Wet stuff you do have to go. I mean, I go slow on the wet stuff.
Yeah.
On stuff that's bouldery, just realizing that you're probably going to be sliding on your butt quite a bit. Using your arms to kind of lower yourself. I know, especially when there's super technical downhills, I'll feel my triceps because I'll be lowering myself a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, if you can run it, then I typically try to do it as quickly as I can. At the last race that we did out in the Catskills that we were mentioning, I mean, I would be blowing by, 3-4 people on the downhill. They'd catch me on the uphill, but on the next uphill.
Yeah.
But, it gives you such a good advantage, and it's just one more thing that you can do. And then I just find it fun. I feel like a kid. Sometimes my arms, kind of go everywhere, and
a wacky, wavy inflatable arm.
yeah. But it just feels so fun, and the wind whipping through your hair and whatnot. I just really enjoy running downhill. I get giddy.
Awesome. Well, yeah, if you've got your favorite downhill tricks, by all means, please let us know.
Absolutely. And yeah, don't be afraid. You'll probably take a spill at some point, but
you're doing it wrong if you don't.
Yeah, I've taken plenty. But I kind of wear those as war wounds.
Cool.
So.
Well, hey, if you want to, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that way you get automatic updates. And if you haven't yet, I'm going to put a link in here where you can get free trail running videos. So stuff like what you just saw, except like cool locations, races, places and some motivational videos. And that's free. So you just head over, sign up, and you get access. So join us there.
Yeah. And thanks, guys. Email us if you have any comments or questions. I guess you already said that. We're just going to go.